Okay, well, since we're all stuck at home, I thought I'd do a shop tour that I promised to our woodworking club sometime in May or June, I can't remember. In any case, if you're part of Western Ohio Woodworkers, you know what I'm talking about. If not, well, just enjoy the shop tour. I guess video will be open to everybody. So anyways, I moved into this shop last summer. It's 1,000 square feet. It's 26 by 40, and right now your back is to the garage door, which is the main large entrance. And so there's a man door over here, and I'll just walk you around and show you the different parts of it. Take a few minutes to do that. Okay, so right there is the garage door. There's my lumber. I originally built a rack that was horizontal. I mean, it's still there. It's the pieces are still there, but it got to be a pain unloading it horizontally, and it got in the way of the saw here and everything. So I just made it a vertical rack. It seems to work much better. Just put some chains on it so the lumber doesn't fall down. And if you came to my shop tour last year, most of the stuff is the same. In fact, almost all of it's the same. It's just in different places. So this is my Capex and my lathe on a movable table, so if for some reason I need to cut a really long piece, I can pull that side out, I can roll that side out, and I can cut just about any length. So most of my wood is stored back here. That's another reason why I wanted to have the table movable, so I could put stuff behind it and it wouldn't get lost. I can just move it out if I need to. And I can't keep long stuff there because the garage door opens up and it'll bash it, so I got a few long pieces over there, and there's just storage underneath, and that's about it. Okay, so right next to the saw with the miter saw, or the table with the miter saw on it, is lumber scraps, I guess. A friend of ours in the club, Rob Curtin, told us about a place that was giving away a bunch of racks and everything, and after moving here I realized that I could use it. And so I went and I got this, and I just put some plywood. It's like a spray rack. It's got these like steel dowels, so I just put plywood on to store stuff like this. I hate getting rid of stuff that I can use as scraps. So I just try to keep it all in one place so it's not floating around the shop, and that works out pretty well. Okay, next to that storage rack, I've got a cord on the wall. That's if I'm working out in the middle of the space here, I can hook up a saw or whatever I need to do. I've got some router jigs and some other things just leaning up against the wall. Here's my jointer, and some of the shelving stuff was already there, so I just put an old door on top so I can store some stuff, and I decided to hang a light. It's kind of nice to be able to do some work with some extra light. I do have an air conditioner. I also have heat in here. The heat was already here, but the air conditioner I put in. So it's going to be great to have a heated and conditioned shop. And this is out of Ohio Stadium from when they did the reno. I just got that from a friend recently. And my planer's over here. So the planer's right here next to the joiner. And as you can see, most of it is over in this area because it's tied into dust collection. So this is a different dust collector than I had before. I still have the Delta from my old shop. It's directly hooked up to my oscillating spindle sander. But right now I have a 5 horsepower Oneida, which I'll talk about in a minute. So I've got all these tools tied in, so they're sort of arranged to be as close to that as possible, so the runs are as short as possible. But all these are on wheels, so I can move them out. For the most part, it's not an issue. I can put a table right here, which I'll show you in a minute. I can pile up my wood and then go right to planing. But if I got something long, I can move this out. I can roll the joiner out. It's on wheels. Bandsaw, same bandsaw. I got a Grizzly. This is a 14-inch 513P. Nice bandsaw. Again, hooked up to dust collection. Space on the wall to hang accessories and those sort of things. My sander sits here again for convenience, and really it's not in the way. Then I've got my oscillating spindle sander back here, which is hooked up to the old Delta, which I think I'm going to, it does okay with that, but I think I'm going to hook it up to this simply because there's just much more power. And the secondary reason is I bought some dust collection accessories for my drill press, but that doesn't generate enough suction to make it worthwhile. So I'm going to eventually hook it up. So let's talk about this for a minute. I bought the dust collector used. It's a 5 horsepower, and it's up into the thousands of cubic feet per minute. I measured cubic feet per minute at the extremes at the tools, and I'm getting 400 cubic feet per minute at the tools. So I did 6-inch. Actually, coming off the thing, I think it's a 7 or 8-inch. So I went down to 6-inch, and then it goes to 4 when it goes vertical, and it's really nice. It's a really nice machine. It's loud enough that you need hearing protection, but that's okay. I planned on that. Now, there's a big controversy, or let's say lots of discussion online about grounding your dust collection. From everything I've read, you'll never start a fire with a dust collector, but what I have proven to myself is that this keeps you from getting shocked. That's all it does, because all the piping at the end is not touching the ground. And I remember when I would use this with my old dust collector, if I stretched it out and the hose didn't touch the ground, I'd get shocked. And as soon as the hose touched the ground, I wouldn't get shocked. And I realized that that's what this is doing. You just ground. What this is doing is it's grounded to that last bit of hose all the way back to the machine, so it just keeps you from getting shocked if you walk by. You don't get shocked, and it's annoying. I think it's more annoying if you're in the middle of doing something critical and you get shocked and it scares you, and you might ruin a piece or hurt yourself or something like that. So anyways, this just suspended from using. This is just ducting suspension. There's some cord, some paracord that hangs it down, and actually it's very solid. Once I got the pieces put together and a few of them hooked together, it's very, very solid. I'll show you more of that in a minute. All right, so back wall, I got space for drill bits and other things. I really like having stuff close to where you use it and having it organized, so I built a few shelves. I got some magnetic storage, that sort of thing. Keep a garbage can underneath my drill press for throwing scraps in. And some simple wall shelves that I bought. I was going to make wooden ones like the lumber rack. They look nicer, I think. But I had all this stuff sitting on the floor when I first moved in, and I just wanted to get it on the wall and so I could start doing other things. So in terms of time, it was very quick, and I think it cost me $200. Maybe I'll do something. Things can still fall through here, but I don't mind it. I don't really look at this very often. So there was a cabinet left over from the previous owner with a countertop, which I don't think matched it. But anyways, I put them together, put wheels on it. I put all my sharpening stuff in there. So that's working out pretty good. I don't really move it much, but it works out nice and it's easy to clean. And again, keeps all my sharpening stuff in one place. As we get over here, this is stuff I don't touch too often. There's cases, there's some tools that I don't use very often, my nailers, and just some other stuff piled up. It probably needs to be organized better, but for now it's fine as it is. There's some tile and some other things that were left over from the house. Router tables right here. It is amazing when you have great dust collection how little stuff is actually left in the router table and on the surface. Obviously there's some, but when I have this fence up here, I've got this hose hooked up and it goes through the fence. It's really good, and I didn't have a direct connect, so I just put some cardboard on there, and this is actually pretty good because I can clean up the table while it's running and not make too much of a mess. Clamp rack is the same as it was probably last time you saw it, and convenient. Maybe it could be closer to where I do most of my handwork and clamping up and stuff like that, but this has worked out pretty good, so I'm just going to leave it here. Let me talk for a second about the dust collection, how I hooked it up. So these are all friction fit with foil tape on it, and that has worked well. For these few that are vertical, that have that don't have a bracket holding it on, well, all of them has silicone in them, but I put screws in because there was just enough weight on here. It was eventually sliding off and ripping the tape. And then these are blast gates from Lee Valley. I looked at a bunch of them. I even looked at ones where people said to make your own. These are about 20 bucks, 18 bucks, and they got the best ratings, and they're nice, and you know, you're only going to install them once, so that's what I bought. Okay, so the table saw is here, and I put this here for two reasons. One, to be close to dust collection, and also so I could get good outfeed that direction. I've got probably 8 feet back this way, although if anything is that big, I'm usually using my track saw. And it also puts it in a convenient place, so if I'm working on something over there, I can cut with the table saw and then go back to where I do most of my assembly and handwork and stuff like that. I built some shelves to go on the wall here. There were some of those other wire shelves that came with the place, and I just used some scrap pine and made some shelves. Put some speakers up, so try to make it a little bit more fun in here. And so I have a stereo in here, which is nice. And these benches are the same that I had before. Back in the corner here, I just have, there's a cabinet with like paint and finishes. And then I have my scroll saw back here, and I also have an electronic drum set that I play every once in a while. And I kind of wanted to make that a finishing area so I could spray, but it really doesn't make sense because I'd have to close it all off, and it just makes sense to leave that other stuff in there. Okay, so next to the table saw over here is my work area. This is the same bench I had. I really like this bench. I just kind of put it together over time, and it's worked out pretty well. But I put this here because this is kind of the setup I had in my old place, where I had this bench backed up against my vice bench, and I like having all the stuff right there. And I've got most of my tools that I touch pretty frequently in the cabinets below here. I had this at my old place. It's just plywood. I may change it at some point, but you know, I brought it with me. Got my hand planes on the wall and my saws. So essentially, if I'm doing handwork, I'm pretty much right here. And then I took my Festool, which has a dust deputy separator on top, and in my other place I had a rack built above it that held a bunch of stuff and had a boom. Here I built the boom in place, and I bought another hose. Well, I think I had the hose in the other place. What this does is if I'm working at the bench here, I can have a hose, so if I'm routing or sanding or something, it's out of the way. And I bought a Festool, I bought a Shaper Origin as well, and that has dust collection, so if I'm here, it's keeping the hose out of the way. Also, if I am working out here, like on this assembly table that I made, I'm finishing a tabletop, I can sand out here, and it's the same thing. It stays out of the way, I don't trip on it. And then even more, if I come out in this open area here to cut sheet goods or something with my track saw, again, I can extend this out, and it keeps it out of the way, and I don't trip on it. So that's working out pretty well. I like that. That's just plywood. A couple of hinges. So again, speakers up here. These cabinets came with the place. They didn't look like this when I got it. They were all pretty beat up, so I sanded them and painted them just so they look nicer. Same with one back there. And I just thought they were kind of cool. They're pretty sturdy metal steel cabinets or whatever. I did buy a Shaper Origin, which I hope to show you sometime, either in a video or at the club. So I've been making some things with it. I don't think I have anything. I cut that table with it. So I'll show you that at some point. Okay, so here's the center area, which is pretty open. I really like having space that's not all full. So I made this. This is something I knew since my last shop, which is, I guess it's like a 2x4 top. It's just a plywood table. It's on wheels. It'll butt up against my table saw for outfeed. I can roll it over and put wood on it for when I'm working joiner and planer, or just to keep wood out of the way or parts of a project or something like that. Currently finishing a tabletop. I can make a video on that, I guess, and show you that. And so it works out great, and it keeps things separated from, gives me space over here to work. The other thing is we got 3 cats when we moved here, and so it keeps the cats from walking on my stuff. If it's on the table, they're liable to walk all over it, but if it's over here by itself, they pretty much stay away from it. And we have 4 acres, so I bought a 0-turn mower, so I need a place to put that. So really it doesn't take up too much room, but if I need to, I could move that out and have more space. And then this is the door where you come in. I have a fridge. I got that from my sister for Christmas, I guess. And I got this from her as well. Her father-in-law passed away, and he had that, so I put it in here. It works. It's pretty neat. I got this from him too. Signal light. Just stuff to kind of make it more exciting. And this is the main door when you come in. I built a hook to put my apron on here, and some, if you got some stuff you brought in your phone or something, and iron hearing protection is all right here, so it's kind of like organized when you come in. So it's pretty nice getting a big shop and being able to do a bunch of stuff to it to make it as workable as you want it to be. And I'll probably be working on it forever. So anyways, someday you guys will get to come see it after all this goofiness is over, and get to have a Coke or something and a cup of coffee and talk shop. See ya!